So the beliefs of Hindus are the only controversial beliefs when it comes to homosexuals of the world's major religions. About 1 billion Hindus. And this is why the Greek secret societies and the Hindus have formed a pact, and you see it in liberal psychology. The former president of the APA from 79 to 80, I believe it was, spoke about the ultra liberals taking over the APA and white straight males being underrepresented. It's important to know. The Dalai Lama also came out and said homosexuality is not for Buddhists, but he does not think that non-Buddhists should have to comply. That's irrelevant. Okay. 2010 consensus, there was 2.2 billion Christians, 1.6 billion Muslims, 1 billion Hindus, 500 million Buddhists, 14 million 14 million something. Well, just let's crash out the 14 million for now. So, oh, that's the Jews, I believe. Yeah, the Jews. So, just Christians and Muslims alone are over half the world's population. You add 55%, you add another 7. This is in 2010, which is pretty much the same nowadays. You add another 7, you get 62%, and then you add the Jews, and you come at 63%. Well, a little shy of 63%. Okay, so almost 2/3 of the world's population have beliefs that condemn homosexuality. 83% of Americans are Christian, according to an ABC poll, which means that 83% of America and almost 2/3 of the world have beliefs that condemn homosexuality. The studies of twins, they've shown disease, I believe Hutchinson's disease, Down syndrome. Identical twins have identical DNA pretty much, and so if one of them has Down syndrome, the other one does. This is genetic relationship, right? Same with Hutchinson's disease, I believe it was, and something else, right? And what the psychologists and psychiatrists who are honest about it have done in their studies is they've shown conclusively that homosexuality is not genetic, at least for the most part, which is the argument I've been making for years and years. All the arguments I've been making since I was about 13 years old, I've been right about. And you have people who are in their 70s and 80s with PhDs who are wrong about things that I was right when I was 13 years old. Go figure. To me, that shows you the expert power is highly overrated. Before I had a degree, a college degree, before I had a high school degree, I was saying the same things that I still say now. Western education, therefore, when it comes to politics specifically and especially, is overrated. So what do you see here? You see that the alliance of the left is an alliance between atheists, agnostics, Greek secret societies, especially in colleges. This is why these fraternities have a lot of homosexual rituals in them, a lot of bisexuals, a lot of rape and immorality. It goes back to what happened in Greece is what happens in Greek societies or fraternities. So it really shouldn't be any question to anybody why you have an unprecedented and a disproportionate say among homosexuals in a country we call a democratic country, where we put up for popular vote for things, and that's how it's supposed to be, right? But we have the groups who are minorities. They've seized power. Well, basically, what most people don't understand is very, very simple. We talk about the Freemasons and the Illuminati's use blackmail, sexual blackmail, bribery, extortion to get what they want. It's very simple. They set people up to get drunk, and they take pictures, like in colleges, and you put whipped cream on someone's face or something. I've been set up myself to the point where I don't know if I was sexually assaulted or not. That's a story for another day. They set people up so they can blackmail them and they can bribe them. They use, feminists are women who are sexually immoral. They very rarely have strong religious views and strong morals, a strong moral compass. Very rarely, extremely rare. The vast majority of 99%, around 98, 99% of them are not Christian, of the real feminists, not the borderline people who have been dragged over until they realize that, hey, feminism does not go along with their beliefs. Either they sell out their beliefs or they go back to being a Christian or a Muslim, etc. So they use blackmail and sextortion, sexual bribery, etc. And the feminists use the pussy power. Okay, and they work together. I've had homosexuals on the phone, on the internet, especially. They'll use women to try to make you think. So they'll say, oh, if you're a woman, take a picture with your hand on your breast or something, right? They'll call up their female friend and have them take a picture with their hand on their breast. And a lot of times it's harder for them to get a attractive woman to take the more sexual pictures, so they'll get a fatter woman, and you can kind of see through their tactics. And I've caught them several times, gay people using fat women to take breast pictures with little fan signs for me. And this is me being honest. It wasn't right for me to ask these things, but when I suspect it strongly, I'm like, okay, well, you prove to me you're a woman then. And so they'll use fat women. I've seen, when the pictures that have nothing to do with nudity, they'll use pretty women. A lot of them work in IT. I talked about before in this video and other videos how they took over psychiatry, and the pharmaceutical company mostly funds the liberals, which is, there is really no way to slice it evenly, because the pharmaceutical company also funds, or to slice it where you put one on the other, one side, one on the other side. It's more like percentages. Mostly the pharmaceutical company funds the Democratic Party, but they also fund the Republican Party. Mostly the military plus industrial complex funds the Republican Party, but they also include psychology and psychiatry, etc. And they fund the Democratic Party. That's why they have gay rights and women in the military and combat roles, on and on. So something else I wanted to touch on. Oh yeah, the reason why people are targeted individuals is because you're not part of a group or a secret society that's controlled by them. If you're not controlled opposition, you will be targeted. There are people who get millions of views who aren't targeted because they're part of the controlled opposition. If they can control the movements against them, they can still control people. It's the oldest trick in the book, Control the opposition movement against you. You say, oh, the people win, I concede. The people have spoken, I will step down. You're kind of snickering when no one's looking, because that was your plan all along. To a changing of the guard was planned anyway, so to speak. So yes, also I'd like to address real briefly that people say, well, what about, why do you talk about these things that everyone else talks about? Because I put it together in a certain way. If you look at my exact beliefs, it's not in the best interest of the New World Order. That's really what you got to look at. The people who are talking about things, what are they talking about? Are they talking about one issue, and they're part of a political group, the Republicans or the Democrats, and they're talking about one issue that's real, that's what the New World Order is doing, but it's also part of what their political party talks about anyway? Are they a Republican talking about psychiatry and not talking about, say, the military industrial complex, or, racism, or, issues that are bad for their party, or bad for the movement against, are bad for controlling the opposition against the New World Order? That's what you got to really ask yourselves. If you look at my issues, I talk about issues that have everything to do with the New World Order. I'm a targeted individual. I've proven that beyond any doubt. None of this is staged. I didn't tell someone to say on the phone, hey, pretend like you're targeting me. You can tell that I had to really get it out of them. The recording was shitty. If I'm going to set something up, it's not going to be a shitty recording. Okay? I'm not going to put things such as, whether or not, something like, say, something about a dick picture, where some of my viewers are going to say, oh, he really sent his dick picture. They're not going to believe me when I say it wasn't really my dick. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to put myself in an embarrassing position to do it. I would have to, for me to do this, it would be completely retarded, going way out of my way. I can prove my authenticity or make you more likely to believe that I'm authentic if I'm fake without having to embarrass myself, don't you think? But anyway, even if you don't believe all that, look at my track record, look at what I'm doing, look at how my life is going to end, and ask yourself, was he a bootlicker? Was this guy who lived in his mom's house and got no pussy and took an oath not to get any pussy, was he a fucking bootlicker, or was he a real revolutionary targeted individual? Period. Okay, what do I talk about? I talk about Big Pharma, the military industrial complex, homosexuals, feminists. Living in California, by San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, Santa Cruz, all these places, within an hour or so, it's not in your best interest to talk about feminism if you want to get a date or you want to make it in your career. Okay? I talk about racism. I talk about white social norms in a country that's 75% white. I talk about other black activists selling out, Well, I'm out of time, but you get what I'm saying. I'll put the rest, what I talk about, in the comments. Thank you.